So here we have the Arran quarter cask single malt Scotch whiskey. This is distilled on Arran. They're independent ownership. That's always good. Nice, interesting. It's an island single malt on the island of Arran. It is 56.2% alcohol by volume or 112.4 proof. It is non-chill filtered. It is natural color. And this is 7 years. 7 years in first fill ex bourbon, and then finished for 2 years in a 125 liter quarter cask. So that's not a quarter barrel, that's a quarter sherry butt, just so that we're clear. Sometimes people think it's like a little mini 50 barrel, but that is not the case. So one of the interesting things about this particular distillery is you can buy your own barrel if you want to. They'll let you buy a barrel. I might need to drink a barrel. This cork's kind of dry. You can buy your own barrel ahead of time and wait for it to mature. Put your name on it and everything. Which is a little different than like going on a barrel pick, right? You also are get the big investment, you know. You're buying it before it's matured. Okay. And this is like a relatively new distillery, right? Opened in 1995 by a D-Day veteran named Harold Curry. There's all kinds of information about that lad, but I do not have it for you. And I'm sure if you're interested, you can go find that. But this is, again, a cask strength quarter cask offering. It is 9 years old, 7 years in that first fill ex bourbon, and 2 years in the quarter. So it's quite a long quarter finish. It's not like 8 months or something. I think the Lafroig quarter is like 8 months finished. So this is natural color. Pretty reasonable color. So we're just let this chill. Of course, it's cask strength, so we'll want to kind of give it some time to like decide what it's doing, so it doesn't burn my nostrils. That being said, I can tell just by the yeah, I mean, you can see it too. You can see this line right here. Look at this line. That's formed from just this coating. That's some viscous shit right there. It's thick, as they would say. Quite thick. Yeah, so we'll give this a minute to have a rest now. I mean, we're about halfway on this bottle, so it's not like it's going to be super duper tight or anything, I wouldn't think, but we'll give it a minute for its cask strengthness. Some people say give it a minute for every year, which means we'd give it 9 minutes, but I don't know if I'm going to wait that long. Arran? You thought it was like Arran?
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
maybe.
Well,
I don't. How do the Scots pronounce it? That's the question. Um,
Arran.
I mean, it does sound like Aaron. It does actually. I'm saying Iran, but I think it's Aaron. Probably right. I mean, it's not spelled the same as yours, but. All right, so like I said, we're gonna give this a minute, but we're gonna go again. We put 25 points in aroma, 25 points in palate, 25 points in finish, 10 on texture, and 15 on the overall experience. And then we'll have a score out of 100. That is not directly comparable to most scores out of 100 because mine are usually pretty low. An 86 would be a pretty damn good whiskey for the way that I grade. So we won't be giving it a whiskey base 86, but I won't be looking at whiskey base just to see. I won't compare myself. Hmm. Sorry, sweet and malty right at the gate. That was definitely the first impression. Definitely like a sugar sweetness and a maltiness right up front. It's kind of like trying to place the sweetness, but it's not. Oh, a little bit of a salty, buttery note. I'm trying to pick apart the sweet part though. There's some nice. I'm gonna go with pear um, as a fruit. Pear and hay and a salty, um, buttery character. There's like a soft sweetness about it. You could call it simple syrup, I guess. I kind of it kind of felt more like more of a sugar, but it wasn't like a brown sugar. Maybe like, but it's not like a refined white sugar. But there's a sugar sweetness about it. It didn't really seem syrupy to me, but you could just call it simple syrup. There is a sweet note in there. You could have just said it's like candied pears. The fruit note's really feeling like a pear. But yeah, some good malty character, a little bit of a salty butteriness, candied pear. See if we can get something else out of here. We're going to give it, plenty of time to display everything it's got. Typically don't give any numbers for, again, like three, 4 sips of it. So it'll take us that long. We got to sit and be patient. Allow it to have its development. Yeah, this candied pear note is probably like the main forefront. Not too much else super coming out at me right this second. So we'll get one down, see how it goes. First sip of the day, some cask strength whiskey. I'm ready for that hug. We'll get it. Slancheva. Oh man, there's some intense fruity flavors on that palate. Definitely what you get on the nose definitely hits real strong and real punchy on the palate. I guess that's the cask strength speaking. That bit of candied pear right up in your face. That being said, we'll have to like give it some time to show if it's got something else going on, but first impression, really strong, really flavorful, candied pear notes, some maltiness on the palate. And then the finish is mostly similar. A little bit of spiciness in there, though. But man, this is why we like the higher proof whiskeys. We like the cask strength or the higher proof stuff. Once you get above that 50%, the flavors are so punchy, so impactful. Even when they're not like aggressive flavors, like you get out of a smoky, peaty whiskey, the fruit flavors here are just so strong and present and impactful. No water added. Still those similar notes. Trying to like find something else to grab onto, but so that strong pear, a good sweetness about it. All the sweetness is coming across like more honeyed now. Maybe a slight bit of orange zest in there. Kind of way at the top. Some orange zest. But now, like, presenting very sweet. Sweetness is mostly at the forefront. Kind of like, ah, man, like a honey and orange peel sort of thing. A pear is kind of in there at the bottom. Oh, it's quite a lovely nose, actually. There's not like a vast variety of flavors, but there's a good amount of flavors, and they're quite strong. Not too much hunting or anything. But yeah, like the development on the nose is kind of like it's more as it's sat at least this much. It's kind of more like a honeyed orange zest. All right, see if we can get some good things to say here. Man, the palate is a good representation of the nose. Everything that's there, you kind of get on the palate. That honeyed sweetness is in there. That orange zest is in there. That pear is in there. There's an addition of like a certain layer of like baking spices or spicy character. That's in addition to like the nose notes on the palate. A little bit of that oaky bitterness on the finish. Um, there's some like dry, almost like a dry sandalwood kind of character on the finish too, like a lingering woody component that's not oaky. Still with me a little bit. It's definitely some some straw kind of malt character on the finish too. I'm really enjoying the intensity of the flavors. Honestly, this is what I needed. I got through a bunch of like soft Canadians and non-peated scotches that when I had the peated scotches, we did peated scotches two or man, we did like a Lefroy or no, we did like an Ardbeg and Letchig, and then we did a Lagavulin 8, and then we did like a four-way Isla peated comparison. And that made some of these non-peateds feel really soft. And this is kind of like what I needed to remind myself that like if you just don't put as much water in it, you can get that same punch um, in a non-peated dram too. Oh, there's a good vanilla character. Just kind of like a sweet vanilla in there. Mostly the same though. Aside from that, and I mean that vanilla character may just be an additional descriptor on kind of like the same characters that I've already talked about. That zest, that sweetness, that honey sweetness, that pear. Not too much else presenting. Still like that pretty nice legs on there. Oh man, that's lovely. Yeah, there's just a good mix of strong, impactful flavors on the palate. Pretty much again, nothing is developed really. It's mostly the same notes. Trying to see if it's going to give me anything else here, but or if anything else comes to mind. Finishes, I gotta say, the finish is long. I'm still getting a little bit of that oaky bitterness, a little bit of that uh, straw note, a little bit of those spices even now. I'm trying to see how long before it's gone completely, and it's just forever actually. Yeah, that's pretty strong. It's pretty strong stuff. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take a moment and we're going to focus on the nose. and we'll give it a score at 25. Up into including everything we've kind of experienced so far. Obviously, this is all a development, so include the whole experience, you know. That sweetness kind of like taken over at this point. It's mostly in the sweet column. That kind of pear note is played down. A little bit of that orange zest still there, but mostly that like honeyed sweetness. Some pear in there, still that kind of like malty note is still in there too. So a little bit of that kind of buttery note in there as well. But the sweetness definitely is in the driver's seat. There's plenty of good notes there too, though. They're all quite strong. Um, let's say 20. 20 out of 25 on those. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. All right, so take a minute and we'll try to focus on the palate. Still that honeyed pear character. Some of that maltiness is in there. A little bit of that orange zest. But some additional like baking spice notes in there. Quite strong. Not that many individual flavors, but the flavors that are present are really pronounced. Um, I'll give the palate 19. Feel like if it had, if I had just experienced more different things, if I had experienced more different things on the palate, it would have been more interesting. But the notes are great. Like the flavor is great. It's strong. There's multiple things going on. It's quite pronounced. At the same time, it's like there's no development there. So and I will spend a minute and focus on the finish. But for those keeping track at home, for those marking at home, this already has a higher score than the Sexton single malt, and I've only graded 2 things. just just in case we were, just in case we were keeping track. Yeah, I don't think it has. I don't think it has any much more development to give me. We kind of like exhausted roughly what we got going on here. I think as far as the aroma. I like that initial like strong pear presence, and then have that kind of fade and have that like honeyed sweetness take over. That kind of like orange zest kind of make an appearance. We're kind of like arrived at a status quo here. So we're gonna think about the finish here. Some good pear notes, some baking spices. That sweetness is still present. A little bit of oakiness, a little bit of like a dried wood character. There's also kind of like a little bit of a yeah, no, it's not quite. Yeah, it's more of a straw malt note. There's several notes that are lingering, so I enjoy that. There's kind of like that spice character, that malty character, um, that barrel character, and a little bit of that like salty melted butter character that all kind of linger together. Um, Finish is like long plus in length. Um, that's actually really good. Um, Especially compared, what's the last one we reviewed? Oh, that we reviewed that Plantation Barbados 2013 rum. That the finish on that one, it's like I swallowed it and it was gone in like 10 seconds. And then this one, it's still here. It's like not even comparable. It's like a different zip code. Bop. Sorry. Yeah, there's this like kind of like woody bitterness, dry wood kind of thing that lingers for quite a while. And it's a strong finish, I feel. It's not got a lot of development. Let's go 20. 20. 20 to 25. Boom. Fat score right here. All right. So we're going to give out of 10 texture. We got like a watery texture. We got a thick texture. Texture has been pretty good so far, but I haven't really thought too much about it. That being said, the texture sometimes is an extension of um, how much water's been put in it. So these cast strength ones tend to do a lot better on texture. That being said, that's not always the case. The one that sticks in my mind immediately is like Green Spot. That's an 80 proof whiskey. That's a 40% alcohol Irish whiskey. And that's gotta be like 10 out of 10 texture on that Green Spot. It is so silky. It's got the real lovely mouthfeel. It's like one of the best qualities about it, in my opinion, is like the mouthfeel on that Green Spot is so good. Um, so just because it's not cask strength doesn't necessarily mean it can't be thick or oily. It's not super viscous, but it definitely is entirely mouth coating without any effort. But I'm not getting like super duper smooth flavor, not flavor, smooth texture, or like I like the it's definitely quite coating, a little bit oily, but not like super amount. We'll give it a 6. Texture can be a 6. I don't think that's fair. It's not watery or anything, but it's just it's not it's not next level. Not insane. All right, so we're gonna spend a minute. I think about at a 15, my personal experience with this. At this point, for me, it's pretty standout. You know, it's not giving me the same things, the same old things, the same old, Highland Scotch things that you get every day. There's some interesting notes there, some interesting development. Not on the palate really, but the nose has some interesting development. The finish has some good combinations of notes. It's quite long and lingering. I definitely say it's a standout whiskey. It's not a wild adventure though. It's not doing anything crazy and wild, blowing my mind or anything like that. It's quite good, but it's not like doing anything crazy. Not call it 8. 8 out of 15 on experience. A pretty good experience. We call it a standout experience. Let's see if I can math here. 40, 50, 59, 65, 73. 73 out of 100. Wow. A great score. Great. This is a great whiskey. 73. Yeah, so 73 is a great whiskey. This is a great whiskey. I quite enjoyed this whiskey. That was the highest score in our limited 4 review run. This is the highest score I've given. This is great. Great value, too, actually. I don't know what we paid for this, but I think it's a great value, too. I think the value proposition on this is actually crazy. Um, you get roughly a 9-year whiskey,